Hi, everybody. Self-care coach Michelle D'Ambra here. How are you? Happy New Year and happy winter. We are actually bracing ourselves for a winter storm in Texas. So I've been housebound and I will be through, I think Tuesday it's going to be. So I really hope that we don't lose power, but if we do, I have it's called a Delta Flow, Eco Flow, and it's the Delta Max. And I can plug electronics into there. And then I have another small generator, and then I have a big UPS one for my Starlink that I had installed a couple weeks ago. So that's already plugged in there. And then I've got my dog who's super warm. So I think between the two of us, if the power goes out, we'll just snuggle with each other in my guest bedroom, which happens to be in the middle of the house, just one small window. So I go there like if there's tornado threats, the hurricane. And then I think if we lose power and it's cold, I'll go in that room because my bedroom faces a open reserve and I have three windows in there. So it's probably going to be cold in there. I've already planned and I know what I'm going to do and I'm okay with it. My mom actually called me and tried to talk me into coming to see her. And I thought, do I really want to pack up, go down there? Because I'm not really stressed about it, even though she has a place, because I know that my house is new and so it's insulated and that's not that big a deal to me. So we're going to be okay. But I wanted to come on here and talk about the things that I do differently. I'm going to be 58 in 10 days. And I never thought that my life would be today at this age where I feel more calm and grounded. I love what I do, both my day job as CEO running four companies and then doing this on the side and having my dog and my plants and living a more calm, laid back life. I enjoy doing things outside when it's nice. And it's a far, I've mentioned this before from when I was young and partying, probably why I met guys that were not good for me. So, this is great because I finally am in a place where I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And intimate relationships are very challenging for me. I don't know if it would be different if I was in one with somebody who was self aware and wanting to work on themselves, and then us working on things together and separately and having that um, mutual understanding, respect, and giving space, that it would be different. But the reality is trying to find somebody where I'm at in this stage of life and how busy I am is not realistic. So I feel at peace with that because relationships can be very stressful. Sharing space with somebody, sleep is a priority to me, and having somebody heavy breathing or snoring. And it's hard enough that I'm a light sleeper and Jasmine wakes me up and I wake myself up and I don't need another human next to me waking me up. I think when you get older, you just kind of realize the things that are important. And for me, sleep is really important because it's not something that I naturally do very easily. So it's important that I make sure that I do whatever I can to get the best quality sleep. And I've actually been asking ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like my BFF. So, I wake up with Jasmine at 6 o'clock. Sometimes she starts waking me up earlier. And then I feed her, and then she goes to the bathroom, and sometimes she takes a while. So I brainstorm with ChatGPT, and I'm like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to make her go to the bathroom first, and then I'm going to feed her, and then I'm going to quietly go back into the bedroom. When she's done eating, she can come back to bed. So this way, my time awake is much shorter. And then not to pick up my phone. So if I pick up my phone and I see emails, then that will get my brain going. So if I don't have a meeting or something important that I need to do right away, and I don't have to worry about washing my hair, shower like that, then I go back to sleep. And I do not use an alarm clock because I'll naturally wake up between like 7:15 and 8. So that extra 45 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half is probably better than half the sleep I get during the night. Because if you're recovering from adrenal burnout or just low adrenals or any kind of adrenal stress, the hours between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. are the most restorative. So I know that like Dr. Wilson says, get to bed early at like 9 and stay in bed 10 hours. I can't do that. Number one, I have neck and back pain. And so laying down when you have a straight neck, curved back, and a straight tailbone is not comfortable for me. So I need to be like exhausted. And if I'm exhausted and I can get 7.5, 8 hours sleep, but it's quality, that's far better than trying to get more hours. So I know that that works. And if I can squeeze in that extra sleep in the morning, then I try to do that as much as possible. And sometimes it's hard because, I might have to, being a woman, it's such a pain, get up, take a shower, blow dry my hair, put makeup on if I have meetings. So that part can be kind of annoying, but I'm really grateful that I don't have to drive in traffic somewhere. So I kind of look at it perspective that I'm very lucky that I work from home and so that I have that opportunity to do that. And some of the other things that I do now differently is I'm not interested in meeting anybody anywhere that is involved with loud noises. I used to go to concerts or like gatherings where there's dancing or whatever. I don't do any of those things anymore. I think I've become more relaxed in my being mostly an introvert. And so I'm okay being by myself. My mom was like, well, I was thinking how I'll be alone if the power goes out. So my mom is an extrovert. So to her being home alone, it might be a little bit more stressful. But for me, being home alone is just great. I'm home alone all the time. So yeah, you can't threaten an introvert to be stuck at home because we're fine with that. What else do I do differently? Uh, because I'm not socializing, I'm not being tempted by unhealthy foods and environments. So that's really nice. So my diet is super clean, probably cleaner than it's ever been because I have no outside influences. I visit my mom once a month. And if I do that, then we can go out to eat. I'm not one of those people that has to have certain rules. It's very rigid and I have to follow them to a T. But I do notice that if I do go outside of them, when your body is used to a clean environment, then you don't feel so well if you do eat something that is unhealthy. So that's something that I've slowly learned over time. The cleaner and the healthier you get, the less you want to be around things or consume things that are unhealthy or toxic. So when you have that kind of lifestyle, you're not going to have a lot of people to hang out with because most people are doing things that are unhealthy to self-regulate. Whereas I try to do things that more, I've mentioned in previous videos, more feminine and flowy. So I got a couple more plants with my plant addiction. Over here in a corner that you can't see, I'm rehabbing a bunch of plants. So they're sitting here with the white being rehabbed. And then I bought some new ones. These two are new. And I have others that are new too. So I'm really enjoying repotting my plants and talking to them and rehabbing them and seeing how if you put a lot of love and energy into something, it grows. So I get a satisfaction out of that. I spent a lot of my life putting into people's potential and been more of the person that people come to for advice and needing things. And, as you age, your energy is not as abundant as when we're young. So older people will naturally start to heighten their circle and the things that they do, because you learn what's most important to spend your energy on. So that's something that I've realized, that, my dog, my house, my plants, my job is important to me because it pays all my bills and allows me to live very comfortably. So those are the most important things in my life. And then I have some, small circle of friends. They're not close by, they're out of state. So I try to keep tabs, with different people, which ends up spreading out where I talk to somebody different once a week. And I like to spend time with my mom, because I don't know how long I'll have her. So I want to take advantage of that. That's why I moved to Texas. And what else do I do differently? Boundaries, which I've talked in previous videos. I'm very strict with my boundaries. And seeing when I'm doing too much. So I started to not feel well the past 2 weeks because I have been working too much. We have a lot going on. One of our affiliate companies is in Japan. So I've been working at night, a couple days a week with meetings and such. So I've been a little bit more tired because it's also the winter time when I slow down anyway from the lack of sunlight. So I have seasonal affective disorder. So naturally my energy gets reduced from that. And then with the works, I started to not feel well. So I backed off on other things that would expel my energy. Like I don't use my stepper that much, maybe once or twice a week instead of 5 times a week. Um, Prioritize sleep even more, and then not talking to people unless I really need to, because that takes a lot of energy as well. So I've been doing that the past week and a half to try and ward off me getting sick. And, before I would not listen to my body and still push myself because of, I have to do this, or I have to do that. Whereas now I can tap in and go, okay, you're not feeling well, Michelle. You're doing too much. It's the winter time. You shouldn't be doing a lot, but I can't help it because work is important. So I have to figure out, what do I let go of? What do I do more of, like resting, and make sure that I'm practicing self-care. And you can't be a self-care coach and not practice self-care. So that's what I do. And it's helped me to not get sick. I just feel low energy. My body was off, little things like that. Not something that fully goes into a sickness. And I believe it's because I'm able to identify that I do need to slow down, listen to my body, take care of myself, and then I don't go to that point of no return where you get sick. That's something that I've learned that I didn't quite have a handle on for a long time. And it's really the main things I've mentioned before. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do anything like that. I try not to, if I turn on this show, I like to try and find like a sixth season, something where there's a lot of seasons. And if I'm watching it, I notice that some shows that would not stress me out before now stress me out. Like I realize that even like if I'm watching like Friends or a comedy or something like that, people are always screaming and yelling in these shows. It's crazy. Like I never noticed it before. And maybe because I was living so much on the hormones of stress. But now I watch these shows and I realize that a lot of TV is people screaming, yelling, talking loud, arguing, violence. And I'm like, I didn't have that awareness before that I see so much more clearly now. So I'll start to watch something and I could just feel like my nerves starting to, and then I'm like, I'm not going to watch that. So I'll go look for something else. I like to find things about animals and the planet. If I could find stuff like that, that's kind of nice, or something wholesome, something that would bore a lot of other people. But occasionally I'll put on other shows. If it doesn't stress me out too much, then I'll watch it. But if I find myself feeling like everybody's constantly screaming and I'm getting annoyed, like, that's another reason why I probably couldn't have a man in my life, because men tend to like violence and loud TV. So yeah, I'm not interested in that. And yeah, I think that's really the main thing. I live a pretty low key, boring life to most people, but it works for me. And I realize that I'm able to self regulate because I don't have so much external things that I allow into my life to disrupt my flow and what my priorities are. And that's taken a long time to get to a place like that. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So my mom and I will be celebrating our birthday next weekend. I'll go down on Sunday, and then our work, we have like our birthday off. So I'll probably, actually, I was going to get a massage, but now I have a dental appointment to get a rental redone. So that was going to be a relaxing day, but it's not, because I have to go to the dentist, and the dentist is never. But I'll go out with my mom, and we usually, because it's her birthday as well. I was born on her 18th birthday. So we go out to lunch and spend the day with each other. So I'll be doing that next Sunday. I'm grateful that my mom was a young mom, being she had me on her 18th birthday. And I remember in my teens, my mom looked like my sister. So we would be like in a grocery store, and I would see like a worker flirting with her. And then I would scream across like fruit section, Mom! And I did it on purpose. And she'd look over at me like, let this guy flirt with her. It was kind of funny. So it was fun having a young mom, but the other side of it is having a young mom. Sometimes I felt like I was the parent too, because she was young. And so when I was really young, she was like dressing me up like Ruby with makeup and a wig and clothes and stuff. I remember in eighth grade, she came at me with my eyebrows with, and started plucking them because they were so bushy. So, it was interesting having a young mom in that respect. But now that we're both older, and, that it doesn't, that age feels closer sometimes because of where we're both at right now. So I usually go down there and play cards with her, or we go plant shopping, go to Costco, and I buy too many plants again. But yeah, anyway, I just want to pop on here and say hello and just share a short little video. I hope that your new year is starting out well, although I don't know, I'm not much of a winter person. So weather-wise, I don't think it's starting out well, but everything else seems to be pretty okay. Hopefully, we can get through this winter storm without people losing their power and freezing. So, yeah, that's something that I hope that we don't anybody has to suffer, especially if somebody's older and they don't have anything to help keep them warm. It could be a very devastating thing. So definitely pray for people's power to stay on during the storm. Anyway, that's it. I will try and do a video in the next month or two. Just wanted to say hello and Happy New Year. Bye.